Hi, today I'm here to talk about memory and study skills for part of the cognitive unit. So the first thing I want to point out to you is a video series that I've placed in the Blackboard by Stephen Chu called Study, oh shoot, the name isn't here. It's a study strategies video series. And not just study strategies, but also overall academic planning. Might be very useful to those of you who need to take exams and study for them in other classes. Some of the things he talks about in these videos are something he calls beliefs that make you stupid. If you think about some of the things listed here, you might find out that those, you can't figure out why that is a belief that might make you stupid, because that's a belief that makes sense to you, right? And so I'm just going to explain quickly why, and then if you want to know more, you can watch his videos. So one of them is learning is fast. A lot of people just want to get through, right? Even for an easy class like psychology, I'm just going to get through, do what I need to. And you will probably learn some, but it doesn't happen very quickly. It happens over time. And the second one, knowledge is composed of isolated facts. So a lot of students think that if they memorize a bunch of terms, they will do well on a test. And the thing is that most teachers are looking for comprehension, not just memorization. So that strategy isn't really going to help you as much as it would if you really understood the material. Third one, being good at a subject is a matter of inborn talent rather than hard work. How many times have I heard, I'm not good at math? Not true. You're not good at math yet, or you're not good at art yet, okay? I'm not good at science yet. It takes work to be good at something, okay? I'm really good at multitasking, especially during class or studying. So I put in someone else's video in the Blackboard about multitasking. Super important concept. It's hard for all of us not to do, but the reality is if you're trying to do more things at once, more than one thing at a time, you're actually just switching focus from one thing to the other. So if it's your phone and talking to a friend, you're over here paying attention to your phone, and then you're reading, and then you're paying attention to your phone, and then you're reading. You're not actually doing them both at the same time. Even if you are walking and navigating through campus, and you're not quite sure where you're going, and you're also trying to talk to somebody, you're not really doing both of those at the same time. You are switching focus. Super important for when you're studying. So all of this study skills information is based on memory, okay? These are things that you'll find in the memory chapter posted in Perusall. So there are three kinds of memory. There's three processes that we'll learn about, three types that we'll learn about, and three kinds of memory. So the three processes are encoding, storage, and retrieval. And there's also forgetting or misremembering. But that's not really the memory part, that's the decay part. So with memory, you have to encode something, which means you need to actually take it in to your brain. So if you've ever had the experience of, wait a minute, what did she just say? It's because you never encoded it. It just happened, but you never encoded it. So you need to encode it into your brain and then store it. Okay, and then you need to be able to pull it back out. So, that's what happens with memory. You need to encode, which is paying attention to it, getting it into your brain, and then storing it, which means later you can retrieve it and pull it out. Okay. So three types of memory. We have sensory memory, which is in your nerve pathways. So if you ever, have a memory based on smell or feel, that's sensory memory. Short-term memory is what just happened. So like literally what just happened, not what you ate for breakfast. That's long-term. Short-term memory is just right there, what's in your mind. Working memory is a term that we use now more often to talk about short-term memory. It's basically what's in your mind right now. So for example, when you're doing a math problem, that in your, whatever you're holding in your mind at the time, that's your working memory, okay? Rehearsal is like when you're practicing it or saying something over and over again to try to remember it. Chunking is when we put things in groups. So you're trying to remember a list of things that you need to buy at the store, and you have a group over here that's fruits and vegetables, a group over here that's snacks, and a group over here that's frozen things, right? So you can remember a lot of things right during that time just by chunking them. Long-term memory is what we really are talking about most of the time when we talk about memory. So even what you had for breakfast today is a long-term memory because it was stored and you're now retrieving it, okay? Short-term memory is getting those things into memory. And this here I have starred reconstructions, and what that means is just that memory is reconstructions. So whatever you stored, you're pulling it back out and sort of piecing it together, and then you have your memory, right? We have explicit and implicit memory. So some things you don't really have to think about, like tying your shoes. You don't need to think every single time about the steps. Those are more automatic and implicit. Explicit is when you're really trying to remember something and explicitly remembering it. And then we have procedural, episodic, semantic, and collective. Again, details in your readings. Procedural is how to do something. Episodic is a story. So like what happened, right? Semantic is more about words. Collective is kind of group memory. Oh, and I actually I spelled it out here. So how to do something, what happened, something you experienced. Semantic, the words, the factual knowledge of actually sort of the facts that happened. Like I know that I ate breakfast. That's, the fact. The story about what I ate for breakfast would be, I put the blueberries and the yogurt and the granola in the bowl, and then I brought it to work with me and I ate it at work, which is actually what happened today. Okay, so quick quiz. So ask yourself, which of the following is the most important ingredient for successful learning? Is it the intention and desire to learn, paying close attention to the material, learning in a way that matches your personal learning style, the time you spend studying, or what you think about while studying? I'll give you a minute. Or more like 15 seconds. You can pause it if you need to. All right, now I want you to get out a piece of paper or pull up a blank document on your computer, and I'm going to read a list of words. For each word, I want you to write, okay, so for each word that I read off, I'm going to say A or B first before the word, and you're going to write yes or no based on the answer to the question. So for A, you're going to count the syllables. If there's more than one syllable, you're going to write yes. Or if there's only one syllable, you'll write no. And then, do you like the word? Which seems odd, but just go ahead and make a decision. Yes or no, I like the word. Okay, ready? A, evening. B, country. A, salt. B, easy. A, peace. A, morning. B, pretty. B, expensive. A, poor. B, doctor. A, city. B, dry. A, cold. A, love. B, bargain. B, war. A, hate. B, wet. A, rich. A, nurse. B, pepper. B, hard. A, ugly. B, hot. Okay, if I went fast, just always know that you can slow down. I think you can slow down these videos. Well, in YouTube you can. I'm not sure if you can in Blackboard, but you can always go back and listen. So now turn your paper over and just write down as many of the words as you can remember. Just pause the video to do that. And then go ahead here and take a look at the list and see how many you remembered of the A words and how many you remembered of the B words. Go ahead and pause the video, count up how many. All right, I'm going to assume you did that. Usually in my classes, people will remember more of the B words than the A words. So if that was the case for you, then you're like the majority of the students in terms of your experiences here. It's easier if I have a lot of students at once and we count them all up, because then we see that most people remembered more B words. And the question is why? Why would you remember more B words? It's called levels of processing. So the deciding whether you like a word gave you deeper processing than just counting the syllables. So you processed that word more. Okay. Now, if I had also had a group of students who I told them to memorize the list, they would have remembered just about the same number as the, if they had the same amount of time to deal with the list and try to remember it, they would have remembered about the same or fewer words than the B list, the list of those words that were that you processed deeply. So that's actually learning that was taking place, and you didn't even realize you were learning it because you weren't trying to memorize, right? You were just trying to decide whether you liked it or you didn't like it. But because you interacted with those words in a more meaningful way, you actually remembered more of those words. Okay? Now, what's the whole point? We're not memorizing lists of words on a regular basis. No, but it's a great way to do a class demonstration on the topic. And then go back to these questions. And I want you to think again about which is the most important ingredient for successful learning. So I just told you that the intention and desire to learn, while important, isn't necessarily going to help you learn your list of words the best. And that is also true about other kinds of learning. So just wanting to learn something isn't quite enough. You have to process it deeply, okay? Paying close attention to the material as you study. So looking at the syllables, paid attention, right? But it's a different kind of attention. Learning in a way that matches your personal learning style. There's a video on Blackboard all about how learning styles really are not very useful, and everybody really needs to learn how to learn in several different ways. And everybody learns best if material is presented in several ways. The time you spent studying, not so much. You could spend lots and lots of time studying, but if you're not studying in an efficient way, you're not going to learn as much. Everybody spent the same amount of time with those lists of words, and different people would remember different amounts of things. So the answer is number 5, what you think about while studying. So you need to deeply process the material in the time that you are studying. And that goes the same for other sorts of learning and memory. The more you process something, the more you think about something in deep ways and making connections, the more you're going to learn that thing. Okay? So I really encourage you to go ahead and look at some of these videos by Stephen Shu. One of the other ones is called What students should know about how people learn. The whole video series is in Blackboard, and they are all using memory principles. So the memory readings and the forgetting, the different readings that are here for this unit, the cognitive unit, are all related in some way to how you can learn in school, and they can be really helpful to you. Okay, thank you.